Yo, I'm gonna get this thing down packed, man. Let me see. All right. You there, someone? I'm just
Yeah, I'm
waiting.
here.
All right, I'm just waiting for Smalls to get his, I guess, his mic together.
No.
Yeah, he was on.
Oddly enough, I'm making a video mashup documentary style type thing called The Mass of the Sun, and Professor Smalls is in it.
Really?
Oh yes.
Oh man, you gotta let him know that. He's. I don't know what just happened. He just fell off. Just hold on.
Well, it's all for free. Is for educational purposes only. Essentially sharing, or not just him, but him, Phil Valentine, um, uh, Joseph Ben Yakinen, um, John Henrik Clark.
Oh, you got. Here you go, right there. Tell him. There you go, right there. He's You hear what he said, Smalls? He's back on here.
His audio is trying to connect. Oh, there.
No, Smalls.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You heard what Son One just said?
No.
Hey, tell him what you just said, Son One.
Oh, I'm actually making a it's like a video mashup of all of our great teachers from the past, including yourself, Dr. Ray Higgins, uh, Reverend Phil Valentine, John Henrik Clark, Bobby Hemmett, pretty much a long list. Minister Louis Farrakhan, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, and it's pretty much just a nice presentation of different teachings that you guys gave in the past that I tried to section together correctly to be able to create a very well put together story of essentially how we get Christianity and where its African roots come from. But it's gonna be a free thing that's put out online for educational purposes only, never to be sold, but free for the people.
That's beautiful.
Yes, sir. So thank you.
Yeah, so work hard on it. Good luck, because I just got to dealing with Carl Nelson talking about why people have got to learn our story, learn history, know ourselves. You're not going to change the world just getting skills and getting money. You got to know you, and you got to know your history. You got to know your ancestors, because that's the only way you'll recognize your enemies.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Hold up. Here you go.
Okay, so you got your books with you, don't you? But you always do. One thing I say about you, Sabir, you travel with a library.
Yeah. 1492. I got like 3 of these too.
All right.
Huh?
So we need to make a movie talking about the Moorish Liberian, the traveling Moorish Liberian.
That's right.
No, but
that's my daughter right there, Smalls. My daughter's over here too. She's in the chair right now. That's her sitting in the chair. I don't know if you can see her.
No, but
you can't see it.
Because I'm actually in my car.
Oh, she's on. My daughter's over too.
I'm at the train station waiting for my queen. I can't let her walk home.
Here's Carter G. Woodson's book too, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is another one of Carter G. Woodson's book.
Right, that's the one I haven't read that one. You were telling me about that a month ago.
No, this one, as I told you about. This is the one, $200 for this one, The Negro in Our History.
Yeah, that's the one you were telling me. I got to find that.
It's very hard and it's expensive as hell now. It's really.
So if you find out where, let me know and I'll send you the money.
Okay. All Carter G. Woodson's. I have every last one of their books. And the thing about Carter G. Woodson and J.A. Rogers and how they was moving, I say I commend J.A. Rogers, bro, because you had, at the time, you didn't have the internet. You literally
Oh
have to.
yeah. I mean, he was so far ahead of the game. Nobody has caught up with him yet. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
to be
And
moving around the world like that, to finding that body of research in that time and that day, it was extraordinary.
yeah, and that's why I said it's hard as heck. I was like, when I was overseas, I was like getting on them train. I was just telling somebody about the trip, right? When I was over there, and about
Uh-huh.
Ibn Battuta, and how Ibn Battuta, how he was traveling. I was talking about this too, and how I was on buses for like 6 hours or 5 hours, or I was on a train for like 3 hours, right? So Ibn Battuta, and I'm like, how did they ride camels? And how long did it take them to actually move from one place to the next? Like literally, I was mapping it out when I was moving around. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. You have to set up shop wherever you were going at. So if you was on a horse or a camel, you would have to stay in that place for probably like a year or two. And I said that's why we were the original nomadic people. We never stayed in one spot. We always set up shops wherever we were at.
Right.
And I saw that as I was traveling. But I want to take my daughter with me so she can have that experience too at a young age. So hold on. Son one, with each, Chris still getting ready?
Must be. Yeah, no, I'm sure he'll be here shortly.
That dude, like, yo, Chris is crazy.
We got a lot of things happening right now with
I
the
know.
album ready to be released. So
And what's the new album again for the people that just joined us? What's the new album?
The new album is IMAMCRU12. It's more of a MC's album because Between the Protests was very much a highly conscious album, and it seems like whenever we drop one style, everybody complains about the other style that's
Yeah.
not fulfilled, and so now we're giving the MC style, and it seems like already people are saying making their comments as far as the world needs consciousness right now, and that's when we just redirect them. We'll go back and listen to Between the Protests. You get all the consciousness you need in your life.
And you know what's funny? I remember when they was doing the joint with True Master, and True Master had two different. Remember that one he did Meta Historical?
Yes.
I was in the house when True Master was doing that. Chris came in and he was doing that album. Then True Master said you need to have one for the club also. And so you know the flip flop, but we need more consciousness now, honestly, in media, on radio, period.
Right.
Yeah, I got it. So I just text Simone. I just told her that we're waiting on him, so I don't even know. Smalls, you can go ahead and talk, Smalls. Go ahead, brother Smalls.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Let brother Smalls talk. Go
Oh,
ahead, brother Smalls. We ain't got to wait on Chris. Let's go. Let's talk about it. Come on. This is my spiritual father right here, y'all. Baba James Smalls.
No, I'm gonna be his uncle because he almost as old as me. So his wisdom is so up there for.
What happened?
The clearest because I'm sitting in a car at a
Okay.
train station waiting for my wife. But that's my world. But when we think, what area you want to become, we start with Carter G, who all of his work tells us that we're ignorant of truth. We're ignorant of history. We're ignorant of a knowledge of ourselves. And unless we correct that, you can forget about talking about freedom because you're just playing, So he tells us that one of the biggest weapons the enemy has was that weapon that cuts you off from your history, cuts you off from your legacy, cuts you off from your ancestral truth. And if you don't restore that, you don't have the tools to fight him back. You're just playing with his little stuff. You may sound good, but you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. And again, people don't even read his books. Did Carl Nelson say they was doing something for him? Because I was gonna go to DC and do it. I was gonna do something at his statue in Washington, DC. I literally was gonna go to DC, but it's too cold out there.
Yeah. So we need to study, and Sabir has all of Carter G's work. I have to get in his library so I can order the rest of these books.
In my library.
And when we talk about J.A. Rogers, he was so far ahead of the game. You know, at the time, the concepts of race that he was projecting. You know, at the time, looking at us all over the world and our contributions to the world, people wasn't there yet. Matter of fact, a lot of people are not there now. And so we have to, what's the first one?
There's no color line.
Yeah.
These are all J.A. Rogers. All J.A. Rogers. Not even all of them. I just didn't even pull everything out. But these are all J.A. Rogers works. All of it.
So, and these are works you never had nobody quoting. You're the only one I hear really quoting them. I have a few quote Carter G. Mention him, not really quote them, because a lot of people haven't read the literature. They've looked at the literature and haven't read the literature. But the bottom line is it's the old adage: truth, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now, it sounds like a Christian thing, but no, that don't come from Christianity. They just borrowed that, okay? All of our history was about telling the truth, all right? Truth in your music, truth in the dance, truth in your words, truth in your action. That's what that my art piece is about. Being truth, living truth, being the result of truth. And so when you look at the history, especially of these two brothers, Carter G. Woodson and J. Rogers, you're going to love. I mean, you're not going to love. I fell in love with it and fell out the bed. My wife said, what happened? Because I was staying on the next floor because of my knee. When you watch Heavy is the Crown,
yeah, that documentary is going to
blow your mind.
Yes.
I didn't think anything. I'm up like, I had to get up at 7. I'm up until 4 in the morning with my old butt watching this piece. Then going back over stuff. The graphics is off the charts. The methodology of how he does the social commentary is just beautifully done.
Right now. Okay. No, go ahead, Smalls. But you know what's funny? Like, most people don't even know that that Heavy is the Crown, the way it's done. It's going to be, it topped a lot of documentaries, man. It topped a lot of documentaries, and it's going to be released. We're doing a show in Atlanta, and I believe New York also. But Chris is on his way down. I just got the message just now from his wife. So I'm just.
Yo, what's the deal? What's the deal?
What the deal, yo? You got the teacher and Smalls. What up, man? Hey, man, what was you doing, fam? I was waiting like 10 hours.
Yo, I'm so sorry. I was upstairs. Today I got a call from Dougie Fresh. So we was doing our thing. I'm getting ready to run down to Florida and shoot this video. First of all, wait, before I even start anything, yo, Smalls, what's up?
The last time I saw this brother, I don't even remember, but the first time I saw him, it was in your bedroom. Me and Dr. J came over to your house.
Wow.
How you doing? And you've been consistent.
It is so good to see your face. To see your face, that is so good right now.
Yo, we over here, we was just talking about J.A. Rogers and Carter G. Woodson, brother, and like I pulled out all J.A. Rogers works, bro.
J.A. was no joke, right?
No joke, brother. And J.A. Rogers, Carter G. Woodson, and I was just talking about Carter G. Woodson's book right here that I have. This one was 200.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's these people that people need to know about, and you need to get a couple of these books. So I'm gonna see if I can get it to you. I might come down. When you going to Florida?
The 22nd.
I might come down there. I might shoot down.
Well, come down, get in the video. What?
No doubt. Yeah, man. So we just want to get on here, man, and give, to mix up this, because someone actually gave the history of the against the protests, and the new one too. In the new album that's out. I say, damn, I can't even keep up with Chris, man. What's going on, fam?
It's IMAMCRU12, and it's one, it's each letter, an I, a M, a A, a M, a C, a R, a number 1, and a 2.
It's
Wow.
complicated, bro. Seriously, you got to make it that complicated, beloved. Seriously.
No, it's actually what I'm trying to do is show how we see reality, how we look at things. Like if you just look at my album title, it's gonna look like Imam Crew 12. And so you'll say, what the hell is Imam Crew? What is this word? And then you start to sound it out. I am a, and then when you realize I am AMCRU12, there's an opening to your awareness that instead of me just naming the album, you know, like between the protests or now hear this, you know, so on. This album causes you to think before you even listen to the album. Before you even listen to it, this is gonna catch your mind. You're gonna have to adjust your mind to even approach this project. And that's what the project is really gearing toward. You know, straight MCing, straight rhymes, just like that. Skill mastery is what I'm pointing toward. An old Booker T. Washington philosophy, you know, about, I mean, he was criticized for it heavily, you know, where Booker T would say, get your skills up, you know, plant your shovel right where it is. Like Africans need to have skills. Like instead of asking for civil rights with no skill, first get the skill, then ask for the civil rights. He got blasted by W.E.B. Du Bois and stuff, but at the end of the day, we see that philosophy actually panned out. It's panning out. It's like, you know, we are vastly becoming a skillless people. I mean, everyone is. I mean, not just Black folk, but everyone. You know, technology is moving faster than the character of humanity, and it's like it's like that's what, you know, when they started taking God out of society, that's when that's, you know, science can't cure hate. You know what I'm saying? Science can't cure hate, emotions, feelings, these things. Science can't deal with that, and religion already lost the trust of the people. And so the only thing we really have left is philosophy, and that's kind of weak too when you take a look at who they pushing as philosophers. You know, that's kind of weak too. So where do our people go, really? You know, where do we really go? And this is it's funny. The only place to go is within.
That's what they say that. You know, it's crazy because I don't know if you're familiar with Ibn Khaldun.
No, it ain't no.
Ibn Khaldun, he was a philosopher from Tunis. And you have Ibn Khaldun, Ibn Sina, and Averroes. You got Averroes was another one that was a philosopher too. He was from Spain. But these are Africans, and actually Ibn Khaldun was the father of modern day economics. And most people know about him. He wrote a book called the Muqaddimah, or volumes of books called the Muqaddimah. And I bought one when I was in Tunis, and it was called the Introduction to the Muqaddimah. It's called the Introduction. But it's like you said about the philosophy, and I'm looking at like philosophy is who are we looking at as philosophers? Also, it's not our people, you know, and we had many philosophers amongst our own people.
Well, we're the first philosophers.
Yes, we are. Yep.
Come on, the first ones to talk that talk was out of Africa, or out of the continent now called Africa. You know, people forget that, you know, we were never really a united people, Africans. I mean, we were united on various other levels, but not race. You know, race was the last thing. Your character, you know, your bloodline, how you naturally responded to things. This is what defined you as a person. This is what it was. And we see today, you know, I mean, us Black folk, African Americans, Africans in America, us, we forget that we are a bunch of different tribes. The 14% of us, we're all kinds of tribes meshed into one group called Negro. And so here we are in this one thing, but we realize that we're its origin and evil use. I would debate that evil use part.
I know, but it explains that.
But no, that's another good book.
Let me into this a little bit so I can whip both of you up a bit.
You can whip us up.
African American is not a contradiction. One is a geopolitical space and one is a racial space. And you merge your geopolitical space and your racial space in order to have a base on which to fight. A guy comes from Nigeria, he says, I'm Nigerian American. Nigeria is his geopolitical space, you know, and it's also his racial cultural space. Then America becomes his new geopolitical space, but it never becomes his racial, his culture, and his spiritual space. And so what we should call African tradition, I call it sacred science. Because what the European is calling science today, if you go all the way back to Kemet and before to Kerma, what he's calling science, that's what we call sacred. We knew about the moon and the sun and the stars and the movement and the traveling. We knew how to make decisions of when to plant, when to fish, when to do the harvest. And we learned this from mastering a knowledge of nature. Our science, we gave them all of the science, and they even wrote it down. Plato wrote a piece he called Phaedrus, and this is their main boy. And in Phaedrus, he says, the Ethiopians, and even that was their word for black folks, dark-skinned, brown people.
It was
And he
Cushites.
said, well, some people, they call us that too. But that's the names we can debate later, because that's a whole show.
Yeah.
But at least in their writing, they're talking about these people who were burnt and browned and baked in the sun, because they were stupid enough to think all they had to do is stay in Africa long enough and they become the same thing. But he said that the Africans have given, the Ethiopians have given to the world all of its sciences, and he names them. He says arithmetic, geometry. He goes on. He says medicine. And then the last one, which he says is the greatest science of all. This always reminds me of Sabir, because he's reading, researching, digging. He says the greatest science of all that the Ethiopians have given to the world is the science of writing itself. Now, he said this way back then, and these crackers are still acting stupid, like they didn't hear that. And then they said this is their main man, you know? So for us, as we are digging up the truth, and we're listening to people like Ibn Battuta, Ibn Khaldun, we're listening to Carter G, we're listening to J.A. Rogers, because when we're reading them, we're listening to them. We're having a dialogue with those minds. This is their minds that's on the paper. So we're having a dialogue with their minds as they're looking at the situation we find ourselves in. And so we are not only multiple ethnic nations or tribal nations merged into one, we are the friggin' universe. Every atom that's in everything, every electron, every proton that is in everything is in us. An understanding of that merger is what we're missing. That's where we come to your philosophy, Chris. How do we regain the philosophy that explains this unity that makes us the universe?
Mhm.
They have us reduced to we looking up in the sky for some dude, a white dude at that, with his finger pointing down and saying that's the divinity. But our ancestors never saw divinity like that. They said the totality of existence, including you, makes up the divinity.
Mm. And that's what Chris just said, within you. He just said that, within
Well,
you.
you know,
Yeah, that's why I'm agreeing. So we
you
have
know,
to find a way to explain that to people.
You know, Professor Smalls, that you know, you touched it right there. You know, thus, you know, you're touching on a curriculum that is needed, a brand of knowledge that is needed. How do you return or even gain, you know, that state of consciousness, the truth, so to speak? You know, I'm thinking about George G.M. James's book, Stolen Legacy, right now.
Yeah.
Where in that he talks about the original concept of philosophy was the deification of the human, that you was able to rise from one level of existence, which was considered the animal level of existence, and you rose to a godlike existence. But as I did more research on that, I realized that what is so interesting about our condition here, and this is talking straight to what Professor Smalls was talking about in terms of how do you get there? How do you explain this now? is that we're not, first of all, we're not even speaking the right language to even get to where we at. So we have to go beyond language and beyond words, but not really beyond language. There you go.
I gotta keep doing this, Chris. Like you talk.
Which one is that?
This is etymology.
The etymology dictionary of the English language.
Yeah.
You know, that's so you paused me because what is that better than the Oxford English?
Hold up, but yeah, hold up. It is. You know why? Because it's the origins of the words. So it's you have this etymology or etymon. One is a study and one is the origin. So you go to the origins of the words. Now I can pull out all the Oxfords and I have every last one of them. But I remember you went over to, I think you went to London. You went to London and got them to put hip hop in that joint or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was a part of a conference, Oxford English, 100 New Words. But no, they had put hip hop in before, but they spelt it lowercase.
Oh, you went back and told it, put the capital H.
Capital H. Oh yeah, no doubt. But you know, go back to the language in which we're speaking, because the language in which we're speaking, the words that we're choosing to define our reality is giving us the reality itself. So, you know, our ancestors, I mean, again, you know, I just breeze over this. They didn't speak English, French, Spanish, Portuguese. No. We didn't speak none of that. And because we don't have a direct connection to our language today, it doesn't mean that we cannot communicate with our ancestors. I disagree with
you, Craig. We do have a direct connection.
Oh, bring it. What's
I remember when you first came under attack, you and the group, because you were bringing, the language is the music. And those who understand that the language is the music, because it's vibration. And the vibration that has come to us through work song, spiritual song, ragtime, blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, and hip hop. We never lost the language. He knew what he had to fight, and he had to kill the musician that understood the real language.
Yes.
And one of the brothers who taught me, Dr. Ken McIntyre, I don't know if you remember Ken McIntyre.
Oh, yeah.
He's married to Dr. Shashi McIntyre.
Shashi McIntyre's husband, no doubt.
Right. Hell of a jazz artist. And he taught us in the Sons of Africa, trying to help us focus polyrhythms. I didn't know what the hell polyrhythms was.
He's always
and
talking about that.
He told me, I'm going to split your brain, right? And so we sat at this table, and we tapped out one beat with the right hand when we thought we had that. We tapped out another beat with the left hand when we thought we had those two going. We tapped out a third beat with the right foot, and then tapped. You damn near went crazy, okay?
Wow.
Now, this is something I know come easy to you as a musician, but most people don't even understand the concept of polyrhythm in Black people. And I'll end with this. If you ever watch us dancing, stand a white person, they're the best dancer they got, stand a Black person there. When the Black person is listening to his music, he can move both his arms to one rhythm, his other arm to another rhythm, his leg to another rhythm, parts of his body. So he's moving all these parts simultaneously. But white folks have to move them one at a time, okay? If he goes fast enough, you think he's in rhythm, but he's moving them one at a time. But the African is moving all of these body parts all at the same time. This concept, polyrhythm, is a great part of the language system that is our music, that over generations, we can still hold an African spiritual conversation and never utter a linguistic word. And I'll end with that.
And that's what hip hop is. And
that's exactly it. In fact, Smalls jumped ahead and synthesized the whole thing, because I was gonna discuss feelings, but the music is the fit. That's the mood. The language, the act. That's so on point. That the music itself. I mean, if you want to get into a discussion about that drum right up at the top and drumming and how that became such an illegal, that became such a threat to these colonial powers. Imagine outlawing the drum. How do you outlaw a drum? Crazy. But at the end of the day, No, the music itself, polyrhythms, vibration, sound as energy, as opposed to just sound as something you hear. The whole body getting hit with the vibration of the sound and your whole body moving on that is simply amazing. You know, that's actually in the same folder with, I heard Minister Farrakhan talking about his famous lecture on the basketball player and how mathematics is the basketball player doesn't have to know mathematics, he is the mathematics. That when you see a basketball player, and that's just as one example, you see a basketball player playing, so much math is going into every aspect of what he's actually doing. We're being pulled out of ourselves and giving graphs and numbers and letters and words to describe who we already are and what we already are doing. They needed to describe us. We didn't need to describe ourselves. And so the information we're getting today is kind of backwards. We're looking for ourselves, but we're already ourselves. And we're already doing everything we're supposed to be doing, but without knowledge of that self, you think you're doing something wrong or you're missing something, or, you know, I mean, I guess the spirituality for Black folk in particular is not really discipline or self-restraint, but more self-acceptance. The strength to accept yourself as you are and not feel guilty about who you are, not feel insecure about what you don't have or whatever in comparison to white society. You know, I'm not smart enough compared to who? White society. I don't speak right compared to who? White society. I don't have enough money compared to who? White society. You know, so once you get your mind out of their paradigm, maybe you could just hear the music better. You know, the music is probably already there. Not probably, it is. The music's already there playing, but we're so distracted by the trauma of this experience being amongst these colonists, being amongst these kinds of people, got us talking and thinking like they talk and think. So we can't see our own ancestors anymore. You know, I think our ancestors would not kill two birds with one stone. You know, I think they would hatch two birds with one egg, but we don't think like that, you know.
But Frantz Fanon spoke about that also, Chris, in Black Skin, White Mask by Frantz Fanon. He spoke about that, the inferiority of us. And he talks it also about the colonized mindset. And that's why I tell people to pick up Frantz Fanon's works. His works, the colonization, Black Skin, White Mask. And he also speaks about the inferiority of us to try to keep up with Europeans.
But see, we don't want to talk about that. See, that's a piece right there that a lot of people can't really deal. It's an emotional piece to tell somebody that they're slavishly going along with a program that's against their well-being. That's hard, man, to say, I done spent $100,000 on an education, you telling me it's bullshit? Come on, man, like, what are you trying to do to me here? There you go.
Black Skin, all of his books, he's speaking about these things. I just don't feel like pulling my books out, but I have all of Frantz Fanon's work when he speaks about all of this. He talks about it.
And see, that's the issue, is that revolution only works for those that participate. And so if our people are not picking these books up, if they don't have access to them even, you know, I was looking at something that Carter G. Woodson, I have 6 copies of the original Journal of Negro History.
I got it.
Yeah, Journal of Negro History. You can catch them somewhere rare. You can get them here and there. Well, you can get them online probably. But the Journal of Negro History, I was reading in one of them, just one of them, okay, at the beginning of Journal of Negro History, and not the book. I'm talking about the weekly pamphlet.
Weekly pamphlet he had.
The weekly pamphlet that he used to come with. You look at one of those pamphlets. I just looked at one. And they have a plethora of books that were written at the time, and it's like you know crazy titles on these books. You know, all types of titles. There's just the title alone gets you, yeah, there we go. I got a bunch of those. But this is something, you look at just the glossary or just the front of these books, and they're showing you other books that were written at the same time that you know nothing
of.
okay,
Nothing
about subjects that were discussed. And see, this is what I call the distraction of racism, because we're not even supposed to be applying our minds to this bullshit, really. We're not even supposed to be applying our minds to this. We're supposed to be thinking about something else, you know? And so it's like, going back to how do you get to this mindset, it's like we're already here, but we're being too distracted by the society in which we're living.
Yes,
we're already the gods, but there's too many devils around. You know, we're already the philosophers. You know the concept of the human mind comes out of Africa, or out of a being in Africa. Like I sometimes think about that, like the concept of the mind. Like, who sat around under a banana tree and thought of that? Like, I mean, like who, like what, like the character, you know, the character of the person that would think up a concept like God. You know, the birthplace of God is Africa. You know, like concepts like God. Like, why would you come up with something like that? How did you come up with something like that? The limitations that you're placing on yourself. You must have an unlimited mind to know that you need to be limited by a concept of divinity. I mean, like, think about that. You know, like,
let me say that a little different, Chris. Because everything we know about God comes from the mind of an African man and woman. Everything.
Boom.
Right.
Write that down. Let's write that down. Come on now. Let's write that down.
But what they were showing is not their limitations or the need to be limited. They were showing what their possibilities were.
Absolutely.
When you're not limited.
Oh.
And so there's an Ewe word. Ewe, you know, they live in Togo and Eastern Ghana. And their word is Sogbe Lisa. And what they are saying is the totality of creation is divinity.
Mm-hmm.
The totality of creation is divinity. And they're not just talking about earth environment, they're talking about cosmology.
Mm-hmm.
That planet we can't see, that we ate some light from this morning, that took 10 million years for our body to receive, makes us up. So are we not the universe?
Yes.
And the African understood that.
You know, Smalls, Malcolm used to say there's a difference between being qualified and competent. And he said when you're qualified, you're limited. You qualified, you're limited. Competent, you go beyond. And I was like, it took me a while to digest that for me. And I said, wait a minute. Qualified and competent. We are very competent, not qualified. Qualified means that you don't go beyond a certain point. And this is how they have us set up. Or you, like Chris said, you have to have this, you got to speak this way. No, that wasn't us. You know, it's funny, even in law school, they'll tell you in law school that don't spell a word right. People don't even understand that. They'll tell you this in the exam. Don't never spell a word right. If it says liable, spell it L-I-B-L-E or L-A-L-I-E-B-L-E. They'll tell you how to spell it in law school. I said, seriously? But again, all of this stuff is already in us, but what they're doing is I don't want to say educating us, they are indoctrinating us, not educating us.
Well, that was the whole
point. Beside you.
Right, that was the whole point. That's the whole point to assimilation. Yeah, James, I love that articulation. Yes, absolutely. I'm looking at the fact that, you know, of course the Africans saw their infinity really in that sense. But how do you get our people then to realize that they are more than the language in which they're speaking? Meaning that, you know, because of the language because of English colonialism in particular, just we're speaking English, okay, here's the English imperialism right on us, in our throat, here it is. But then that makes us afraid, say, of mediumship, or it makes us afraid to speak to the dead because the culture by which we're in doesn't speak to the dead, or the words that we choose to reach other areas of our reality, which may be on the other side. Maybe, it's nothing for us to talk to the dead. It's nothing for us to lay food out for our ancestors. We live with them forever and they with us. But in the culture in which we're living, the English culture by which we're living, no, you can't worship, talk to, care for the dead, other than a cemetery, talking to them and getting ideas. But at the same time, this is where we are. Like, this is like, if you're in a society that criminalizes everything about you, how can you really get to where you need to be unless you think criminal minded?
Yeah, you think you throw the stab in it. Criminal minded.
Let me come back to you, Chris, to come back to the music. We come back to ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Turn me round, ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. See, that music, every time they roll up on us too close, we call that music spirit out. And it always had a message to tell us how to face the enemy as it is coming. We thought they were just making songs and writing words, doing poetry. No, they were having a conversation with their spirit, with their soul, with the ancestors. You notice with Dr. King and them, they'd never go out to march till they went in that church and sung until they reached a certain level. Then they'd go face the Klan, the police, the sticks, the guns, the hoes, and the people couldn't understand it. Wait a minute, they ain't got no guns. We got all the guns and we run it. You know what I'm saying? Because once they went in there, said, I ain't gonna be a slave no more. Before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go back to my Lord and be free. And you do that for 3 or 4 minutes, you ready to roll. You ready to rock and roll against anything you had to go up against.
Wow. That vibration. And that's the same thing with the Zulu chant. That Zulu.
And most of us got free. Most of us got free. We never hear about the Africans that got free based on that same thing, right? Sang them chants and then got free. Okay, gave you something and got you free. You're touching on something, Professor Smalls, about the power of sound and music and how this might be our actual salvation in terms of just in terms of.
Okay, well, 1 second, my baby's gonna get in the car, so I'm gonna go silent while I take her home. And then I'm gonna jump on the computer and stay with y'all. So Chris, you can take over, and I'm just gonna listen as I drive.
No, we need you. We need your voice. You got. Well, hurry up and get home.
I'll be home in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we need Professor Small's voice. Hey, Chris, what's that date again, man? So I can try to set up to get down there. And
the 23rd. I'm gonna be in Florida. The 23rd. Fort Lauderdale or Miami.
I love Fort Lauderdale, dude.
Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Really Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Right there. But I'm also going to the Graffiti Museum. I'm gonna do some shots there as well as the Graffiti Museum in Miami. But the 23rd in particular is Fort Lauderdale.
We got to hit this vegan spot down there. I don't know if you've been there yet.
No, come on with it.
Oh, we got to get to the vegan spot. I'll get down there around that time.
No doubt.
Chris, let's take y'all want to take some people while Smalls is on. I know people have a lot of questions for people. And actually, Chris, we got to do a piece on the Moors, fam. We got to do a song on the Moors, fam. We gotta sneak that in there some way, somehow, family.
You gotta do an album. You gotta do a whole album. Get all the Moorish MCs together. And you know what would be hot is to do it around the world. Grab dudes from around the world, spit that knowledge, spit those rhymes and get it. You need an album, man. You need a full album.
I know. I'm going to go back overseas. I'm leaving right after my daughter's on here actually, but I'm going back. My daughter's sitting in the chair. There she go right there.
Oh, there she go.
Oh, she listens to you too. Look at her. She waving to you. She listens to it all the time. Yo, you got to see her be bopping, bruh. She be bopping. She listen to Chris, man. But I'm actually after her birthday. I'm going back over to Spain.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going back. Yasim is over there too. So he's in Barcelona. Yeah, so
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. He ain't going nowhere. Trust me, he ain't trying to go nowhere, bro. We was in a house. He ain't try to go nowhere. We were just sitting in the house talking shit. That's all we was doing, dude. We was sitting there talking. He's like, he don't have no interest on coming back to the States, bro, at
Nah,
all.
Barcelona's a paradise. Barcelona's a paradise.
There it is. I like Madrid.
All of it, the whole of Catalonia,
Yeah.
is crazy. I mean, it's look. You're gonna get me start talking about Spain. Get back over to this science.
Yeah, let's get back to the science. Let's take some questions. Anybody have any questions? And actually, you should look this up. I don't know if I told you this before. You know, you ate paella before, right?
Oh yeah.
You know that's a Moorish dish. Paella.
Of course, no, of course. Come on, you know. Yeah, come on. And they got different versions. Look, I was a tourist. I had the vegetarian paella. I had the seafood paella. I had all types of. No, but paella is made with chicken.
Yeah, I don't eat. Yeah.
Seafood, all types of stuff. I had this thing called black rice out there. The rice was black.
I had it too.
And you get to eating that, and it's over. You just don't even. If it was done right, it was wonderful.
But that's why I want to take my daughter with me so she can experience at that young age, you know, so she can learn multiple languages. Because I felt so embarrassed, man. I'm sitting in the house with y'all seeing children, and all I'm speaking Spanish, and I'm like, damn, like she snatched the phone from me and started talking to the lady in Spanish for my flight. You know what I mean? And we have to have them studying languages, man, multiple languages and other cultures. And this is what I tell people, even with hip hop. Hip hop is a culture. It has really no color line on it. It's a culture in hip hop. We have a culture. And a lot of people don't understand that, because I hear a lot of people saying about culture vultures. And I'm like, well, hip hop is a culture in and of itself. We have a certain language, we speak a certain way, and we dress a certain way, you know? So that's what it is, man. But let's see if we can take some people. Anybody have any questions for the teacher while James Smalls is on his way home? Peace.
Peace, man. Peace, everybody on the Zoom. The teacher, peace, Chris. Peace. I had to ask you some questions. This is my first time on here. I get to talk to KRS-One. I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 1980s. So when you was doing all that music, I was just a little guy. So I'm getting all of it right now. You know what I mean?
That's
but
right.
My question for you is, have you ever heard of this book?
The Rallying Point. No, that's new.
Okay, actually, the story starts in the late 60s, 1960s. This gentleman, his name is Melvin Charles, and his friend, Gleason T. Jackson, came up with this flag, and it's called the original national flag back in the 60s. He tried to get it promoted. And the special thing about this flag is that this sword in the middle is paying homage to the Moors of the 8th century. I don't know if you ever seen this before, I've ever heard of this, but he's from Jersey. And I've been going through this book, and it's very interesting, this brother's story.
Why is it called the Rallying?
And nobody talks about this guy. I don't have heard anybody speak about this brother at all, but his story is amazing.
Well, why is
so
it called the Rallying Point? Why is it called the Rallying Point? Why is it called the Rallying Point?
It's called he explains that it's called the Rallying Point. He said because for the people at the time, they were so impoverished, destitution, things of that nature that the so-called Black people were going through in the 60s. You know, the death of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. He speaks about all these things. So he wanted something to uplift the people's pride, because he said that most of the so-called people, they walk around with Masonic flags, church flags, but they didn't have nothing to nationalize for themselves. And he came up with this flag in order to do it. But the funny thing in the story, because he mentioned the NAACP, he mentions the Urban League, he mentions all these people, and he was highly upset that none of these people endorsed him for this flag at the time. And also there was 100 influential Negroes that was, you know, in Jet Magazine and all this stuff he was talking about. And he said, not one of them, nobody came and wanted nothing to do with this flag.
Wow. Well, they integrationalists too. I mean, the names you just mentioned, NAACP, you know, all of that. They trying to be part of the American empire. So you know,
Right.
and respectfully, I say that respectfully, but that's what it is. Ain't nobody messing with no Morris flag with a sword in it. They gonna have to give up everything they dealing with to really and to deal with the truth on top of that. And who wants to do that? Political power is created by denying reality, not by confirming it. So, and we see that now, with what's going on with the American government, people just making up stories and then saying this is what it is. And,
Right.
and if enough people unite around it, it becomes a fact. So this is an interesting time we're living in. I'd like to get that book. I'm glad you showed it to me. I will take a look at
You know
that.
how long it took me to find this book? It took me a long time to find this book.
I'm looking. I'm like, wow, I ain't never seen that.
Yeah, it took me a while. And a sister actually brought it to my attention because he was having a discussion, the brother Sabir, everything's with the Moors. So the sister came over one day to my house and was like, have you ever heard of rallying point or this flag? And I said, nah, what is that? So she showed me a plaque. And as I'm reading it, explains about the Moorish sword, and he explains about the uplifting of the people trying to use this flag. So I went looking for the book. It took me maybe 3 months to find this book.
Wow.
All right, let me move on with some other people, brother. Let me move on with some other people. Anybody have a question for Chris or James
All right,
Small?
peace. Thanks, Chris.
Peace. Thanks for that.
You know what's crazy? Aja's mother was just telling me about, you said, she's on here. She could talk about it. Talk about what you just said about the school. No, you got to tell it. Tell a story, because I can't read your text. You got to tell him about what they told you at the college about Christian language. Just unmute your mic.
I have. I was not planning on saying anything. I just wanted to listen. But when I was a student at Cal State East Bay, I'm walking through the campus. They're playing some ratchet music, and the girls are booty popping, and the fellas are watching. And so I go up to the DJ, and I'm like, "This is the Black Student Union. Why aren't you guys playing KRS-One?" He was like, "I can't play KRS-One. The school said he's too explicit." So your voice is like a instrument, and it makes some white folks leery.
Yes. I
just recently took a hip hop pedagogy class, and I've been carrying that story with me. I did all of my projects on me studying you, but something was really heavy that I discovered while studying you. I found a video on YouTube, and you were doing a lecture. I think you were overseas, and you said, to know my story and to not know yours, you're thinking like the colonizer. And I'm still sitting with that, like, damn, I've been studying him, and he's my favorite philosopher. I study philosophy.
Cool.
That's so heavy. I'm still sitting with that. Like,
Cool.
I know your story, but who am I?
Yes.
But Chris will tell you that, and this is why I tell people I am hip hop. I was named the fifth element, which is the knowledge part. Here it is. I'm that part in here because of them.
Yeah, so I kind of shared that quote, and it was heavy for everybody, and I thought that fell philosophically under ontology.
Yes.
So I was trying to bring in, point out your philosophy to everybody in hip hop pedagogy class. Yes. Wow. So that's what I've been over here texting Sabir like.
Yes.
Well, first of all, thank you. No, first of all, thank you. I mean, for your time and mine. If anybody's interested in my lowly life, I am totally honored and grateful in that sense. It's a shame though, the university was correct, or the college is correct. I am explicit, and look at the word.
You are.
The word explicit, that means direct, to the point.
Exactly. I even shared your epistemology of let me see, I have to look at my slide over here. That what does it say? KRS-One explicitly expresses his views on public education. I think you said that they teach you to respond reflectively to authority.
Yep.
And I think you were saying to know all of these historians' names, you're saying if you know all of these historians' names, if you can quote their stuff.
This is, you sound like it's some of what I was saying. Well, I say it often, but when I'm in philosophy classes, you know, we talk about, you know, the first thing people want to say in a philosophy class is, oh, well, Aristotle. You know, you got to go through.
I'm always like KRS-One.
You know, you got to talk about all these people, and it's like if you could quote old European philosophers, somehow that makes you a philosopher.
Educated.
Yeah, or educate, like, you know, that's supposed to be it. And it's like, nah, what you said is actually what it is. Of course, I appreciate you studying, my humble self, of course. But,
I think I did like three presentations on you.
wow.
Some was on your lyrics.
Wow.
I broke down MCing and how MCs are really philosophers and sages.
How can I see this? How can I see this?
Oh, I could share my screen, but it'll take me a moment.
No, I mean, send it to me, like I can see. So
I can send it to Sabir and then, yeah.
Okay.
I'll send it.
I'll have Sabir give you my email as well, so we could just stay in touch.
Yeah, I even read the dissertation that was done on you as well.
What dissertation is this?
I haven't. I would have to go and grab it, but I have so many books and I just moved. But the dissertation, I think it was done by a oh man, I can't think of her name. You're familiar with it though. Like you tell your whole, she's like interviewing you through it.
Oh, is it Priya?
It's Priya.
Priya Palmer, Dr. Priya Palmer out of Brooklyn College.
Yes. That's a powerful piece she did on you too.
Oh no,
I've been sharing that. Like I even asked the professor of the hip hop pedagogy class, like, why don't you have a KRS-One book? So we learned all the elements and you break down all the elements of hip hop. So I was just adding to that as we were learning in there.
Man, go sister. That is it. You and as a matter of fact, we should stay in touch because we're getting ready to open a school in Newark, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
And,
I'm getting ready to get my master's in educational leadership. I might be able to offer a hip hop pedagogy class.
This is what it is. And our school pays very well. You may want to really think about this. I'm listening to you now and I'm saying, you know what? This is the type of teacher that we need in our school. This is the type of teacher. I mean, just listening to where you're going, you know, with your studies itself. I mean, that's very impressive. That's very impressive. Very impressive. You mentioned it, Priya Palmer. If you know anything about Dr. Palmer, you know
that book is deep. She goes deep.
She put a lot into it. She ran around with me for about three years, and you know, tours and all types of lectures and stuff. Almost lost her job. She went in and then did her dissertation, and got her PhD on KRS.
Right.
On the dissertation.
Oh, she beat me to it.
It was crazy. Well, actually,
lose your job and find your work, huh?
Oh yes, you know what it is, and you know, you're making me want to call Priya. I probably got to ring her up. Ring her up. Make me think about this. Now, I don't even know if she's still at Brooklyn College, but at the time that this work was done, she was definitely part of it. She was actually with I think James Patterson. I think his name is James Patterson. That works with Michael Eric Dyson. Patterson, she was working with him. He and her used to come to my house in California, sit down and talk hip hop for hours. I had tapes, tons of tapes of us just sitting there talking about hip hop in a serious collegiate kind of way. Interesting. It's just, you're making me want to hurry up and finish up my next book. It's actually called.
Oh, I was going to ask, are you doing another book? But I want to share one more thing with you.
Please.
Another thing that was really fascinating for me was in the lecture that I found on YouTube, you were sharing like grammatical effects of how to write hip hop as a scholar. Because the main question of the your lecture was, what is a hip hop scholar?
Right.
And it was just rattled with ontology and epistemology, and yeah, I was catching it all. But I found that really amazing. Like I'm looking at, oh, you can't see it. Oh man, I'd have to send it to you, but you broke down how to spell hip hop when you're talking about collective consciousness, when you're talking about the culture, lowercase when you're talking about rap, and hip hop buzz as a celebrity. I found that
your
really
homework. You did your homework.
fun.
Those are the three natures of hip hop, and that's the center of the scholarship, to be able to define what you're looking at. So it's like if you watching hip hop on TV, that's lowercase HIP dash lowercase.
Right.
If you're writing about hip hop and it's entertainment, it's rap related, it's on television, it's commercialized even, you write it in this way. That protects the culture from being commercialized intellectually.
Exactly. And I think young people need to know that.
Well, get the teaching, you get to showing them that you're doing your thing. Absolutely. I thank you again for that. I thank you for your mind, for your mind, for applying.
No, I thank you for your